share in that that revenue, or will the Hornets promoted events go all the money go completely to the LSED?
The money will go to the LSED in terms of the parking and food and beverage, the ancillary revenues. If it's an event promoted by the Hornets where there are tickets that are to be sold, it would be a Hornets event and they would be entitled to that revenue. But think of it as programming for Champion Square, which benefits the LSED because the LSED is entitled to receive parking, food and beverage, and sponsorship from that area.
That's also an important question because Champion Square is another major piece of future development. We can see how well it works for game day activities, but much like LA Alive, you've got to create more activities there. And the only way it works to its maximum benefit is if you fill it with activities and benefits and nighttime venues, and this goes a long way to assist that also. So that asset also will continue to grow with this arrangement.
Doug, or Ron, is there anything in this new contract about naming rights?
There's not anything new. As you know, under the current lease, the Hornets are entitled to market, sell, and retain all revenue from the sale of naming rights. And that has not changed. So the Hornets will continue to have that right. And I know they're working right now to try and market the name and title sponsorship.
Would the, when you say the arena will have a new look, does that include the exterior too?
Yes.
Sort of giant green shower tiles from the 1970s?
No, perhaps not the.
Is that a personal?
When we say new look, it's really to create a new brand image for the arena and the team, and you're likely to see a lot of electronic video and some other elements, lighting elements like we've done across the street, but very spectacular stuff. So we're working on that. We'll be back to you with renderings and further updates as we progress.
And that's important also because if you look again with the Superdome, there were talks of building a new billion-dollar stadium in New Orleans prior to the hurricane, and we can see with the renovation we have really one of the finest quality stadiums anywhere in the country. By the upgrade, I think the same thing's true with the arena. If other teams are trying to put teams together, they have to build arenas, and they cost hundreds of millions of dollars in new construction. The investment we're putting into it continues to allow a 13-year-old building to be updated, and much like you see the improvements in the Superdome, you'll see the same quality within the arena.
Who gets the money for the exterior advertising on the arena? I know that there's some on the dome and some on the arena. Who gets that money?
The Hornets receive that money. That's all considered part of the arena premises, and their license agreement or lease agreement entitles them to receive that money.
So they could put billboards all over the building?
Well, I wouldn't call them billboards. I'd call them electronic or digital media. But yes, they're obviously advertising and sponsorship is an important component of any sports team's revenue stream. So inside and out, and that can be packaged as part of a team-related sponsorship and pass through to those sponsors.
But I think the question, was also can they put it anywhere, and that would be a cooperative agreement between the two of us to make sure aesthetically, architecturally, it's appropriate.
That's a good point. The placement of the signs and the placement of the exterior electronic or digital media is subject to the approval of the LSED and the manager.
Along those lines, with this new sponsorship naming rights deal, that all work hand in hand with the upgrades that you're going to do inside the arena, with those two function at the same time?
If you're asking if the rebranding and the new look of the arena might help stimulate a naming rights sponsorship, the answer is yes. We're hoping it will. And it could be incorporated into the new look.
Doug, do you see, two questions, do you see the Hornets training at the Alario Center for the long term? And two, in San Antonio, the Spurs have that club upstairs that is something like that a possibility for you?
First, the answer to the first question is I think you'd need to ask the Hornets about the Alario Center, but I think that over the short term, they will remain at the Alario Center. Long term, there has been some discussion about possibly looking at other sites for a training facility and maybe combining that in a way that could leverage other partnerships. We are working on some of those creative ideas right now, but for the foreseeable future, I think the answer is yes, they will be at the Alario Center. And your second question was?
About the club.
About the club, yes. We have looked at that particular concept in San Antonio. I don't believe we have programmed anything that's identical to that, but something very similar. We have a couple of interesting features that we'll unveil to you later that are intended to engage fans and make it more entertaining for them during the game. So I know what you're talking about, that large pavilion at the top of the upper deck in San Antonio. So we're looking at a feature that would be similar to that, but not exactly like that.
Because those seats don't generate a lot of money, and you could get something up there.
You should be an architect, Ed.
I think we have time. One last question. Brett, go ahead.
I'm not picking it.
The All-Star game?
Yes, we do want to talk about that. As part of this long-term lease extension, the governor felt it was very important to have the NBA commit to a future All-Star game, and the NBA has responded and said yes, they will commit to a future NBA All-Star game sometime during the term of this lease. And we're very, very pleased to hear that. As you know, we had the All-Star game here in 2008. It generated tremendous activity in the city, brought worldwide attention, helped refocus the attention on basketball in this market, and we're looking forward to working with the NBA to bring an All-Star game back. But it is part of this deal.
Great, thank you, Ron and Doug. Also,